Hi, I'm Rena, and welcome to Biopic, a podcast story. This is a podcast where we dissect the good, bad, ugly, and absurd of this specific genre of motion picture, the biopic. If you want to learn more about us, our scoring system, and how we choose movies, please check out our special introductory episode, Introduction: Who Are We and What Are We Doing? This is not one of our regularly scheduled weekly podcasts. It's an extra that we're throwing out there with some bits that we cut from episode 25, Ray, and episode 26, Liz and Dick. This is some of the material that we deemed to be irrelevant host banter, or cut for time, and because it was digressive or repetitive. If you are listening to this in August of 2025, when this introduction is being recorded, we are currently on a summer hiatus and will be back on September 2nd of 2025 with the first in a two-parter, episode 65, Tombstone. Some of this bonus material will sound, without context, like we are having a conversation in non sequiturs. So if this is your first time listening to Biopic a Podcast Story, you should probably download one of our regular episodes or our introductory episode to get a better sense of what we're all about. I would especially recommend anything from episode 10 and later, because it took us a while to figure out formatting and sound quality. Enjoy, and thank you for spending some of your time with us.
I went through a whole slew of the list of films that came out this year, and I came up with like some alternate takes for who could have been nominated for things. It's a rough year. Jenna Rollins for The Notebook was one that I'd love to see swapped in the supporting actress category. Paul Giamatti was snubbed for Sideways for Best Actor. So you could also think about awarding any given performance in The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. And I could also make outsider cases for John Grease in Napoleon Dynamite, for supporting actor Peter Sarsgaard in Garden State, same category. Naomi Watts for I Heart Huckabees. And also Rachel McAdams had her breakout year this year. And her performance in Mean Girls is astonishing and so good. I have a lot of problems with The Aviator, and I know this is not the Aviator episode, but you know how I feel about Marty Scorsese. But it's a very it's a very meh movie. And it's gonna get a little better in 2006 for the Academy Awards, except we see something that we should never see, which is Matt Dillon nominated for an Oscar for Crash, a movie that won a lot of awards, which is its own horrifying story. But this isn't a podcast about self-indulgent police movies made in Los Angeles, so we won't talk about that now. But this is like a dark period for the Oscars. So there were things where I was like I spent the last half of the movie waiting for, like, every time the phone rang, I was like, oh no, is he about to get the call about Dr. King?
Yes, I was so relieved when it got to 1963 and JFK didn't die.
Yeah, because I was prepared to see our third artist reacting to the death of Dr. King, which I'm not saying isn't an important moment. I'm just saying that it would have been the third time.
And then I thought, wait, is he the one? No, he's not the one who grew up in a brothel. That's either Louis Armstrong or Richard Pryor. Where is my mind? Do I not know anything?
I mean, one thing we find out right away is that Ray Charles is kind of a jerk.
Which I like, because who said that handicapped people have to be morally better than the rest of us? They don't.
Nope. Certainly not this movie. This movie doesn't tell us that.
Yeah, and I don't know how close the Ahmet Ertegun that they found was to the real Ahmet Ertegun.
Although that is a role that was played by one Curtis Armstrong, star of Better Off Dead. Did you recognize him?
No, I have not seen Better Off Dead.
Oh, you should see Better Off Dead. It's great. I loved Ahmet Ertegun in this movie because I love Curtis Armstrong. Anyway, so he gets ripped off by these people. He tours with the Chitlin Circuit. And
He doesn't know, Sarah, he doesn't get on the Chitlin Circuit until like later, I think.
Oh, I thought that was like pretty quickly in this.
No, when he signs with Atlantic, they set him up with
Oh,
Chitlin.
I thought he was
he
traveling...
just finds a different person to tour with after he figures out that Terrence Howard and Marlene are ripping him off. Afraid, yeah. I think either his wife or his sister-in-law was constantly on best dressed lists.
Yes.
Micah or Mika.
Yes, I remember seeing her in Vogue as a child.
Yes, me too. I think we might have read the same Vogue issues.
Yeah.
And she was always wearing those like older woman full-skirted Carolina Herrera type dresses.
Yes, here she is. Yeah, she was his wife. I'm just looking her up. Oh, God, look at her. She's so gorgeous. She just died last year at 97.
Wow, that is a good life. And I bet she was like 95th percentile, aesthetically pleasant for her age group.
Yeah.
As long as she was alive.
I'm looking up, first of all, the casting of Ahmet Ertegun is unbelievable. Like when you see him young and you see the casting that they did here. I'm just looking to see if he did anything evil. Philanthropy. Oh, that's so sad. He died. He tripped at a Rolling Stones concert at the Beacon Theater and fell into a coma and died. Yeah.
That's awful.
Ah.
What a way to go.
Yeah. He died doing what he loved. However, watching music, and I'm just looking, maybe sexually harassed a woman in the 1980s. But there's only that one incident, so who knows? We weren't there. I'm hoping it's not true, because he sounds like kind of a mensch. But
yeah,
I've once again not done anything resembling the work around backing that up.
Again, this is why we need a Patreon and advertising so that
we can dedicate more time to actually understanding what we're talking about.
Well,
I mean, I won't, but you would. I forgot to mention, and you forgot to ask, I am drinking Blackberry Bubbly Seltzer this evening.
I'm cutting it. I don't care what the fuck podcast hosts are drinking. It annoys the fucking shit out of me every time they talk about what shirt are you wearing? What are you drinking? And like, even, I mean, I did leave in the parts where we talked about the times that I've dressed in tribute to whatever we were talking about, but I don't do that every
You know what
episode.
We could do that wouldn't be too personal and would be very quick? We could talk about like what lipstick we have on.
I'm wearing one of those fresh tinted lip things.
Yeah, tonight I am wearing L'Oreal Infallible.
I am wearing, what is this? I am wearing Fresh Sugar SPF 15 in the shade called Tulip.
It's very pretty. I do
Thank
like
you.
it. So.
Yeah, and I love the scent. And like, truthfully, I don't own a ton of lipsticks at this point. I own one tube of MAC Captive, one tube of MAC Russian Red, and a few of these like fresh tinted things that I rotate.
Just going back to like his brother's death and the way that was played, I feel like if that was how it happened, his mother would probably be mad at him for the rest of his life.
I think that if you lose 50% of your children, you're going to cling to
the remaining.
Yeah. What good would it do for her to stay mad at him when it was an accident?
I know. Just the way that it was like it was portrayed that he just stood there and watched him die.
It's unclear if his eyesight was already starting to get a little off at this point because maybe he couldn't see clearly what was going on, but it was very unclear because this little boy dies in a wash tub and it's unclear exactly what the mechanics are of how his leap into that wash tub became fatal.
I took us off on a bridge there and meant to just say that I really liked that his mom was portrayed with so much like love and grace.
I didn't see a head chopper off Zamboni thing that looked like paper mache running around chopping off people's heads, but nothing in Ray Charles's story would have called for one.
I mean, theoretically, that actually like that could be a device that existed in the state of Georgia, and I wouldn't put it past them. But no record of that, and no record of the time that they didn't ban Ray Charles from ever performing in the state.
Georgia was still pretty terrible. I'm sure Georgia would have thought that machine was a great way to enforce Jim Crow.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Georgia has enough real terrible things happening in that state right now, and has for time immemorial, that are bad enough. We don't need to make things up. Yes.
We saw cats together. Remember?
Yeah. Do you remember like halfway through that when we realized, when I was like, their ears are moving?
Yeah.
Like the horror washed over you so slowly.
And I remember where we sang along to Mr. Mistopheles.
Yes.
And it was at that theater that has the Shining carpeting.
Yep. It felt like we were in The Shining a little bit.
It did. And then there was like that waterfall of snot that director puts on all of his actresses when they're singing.
What? Like, what the hell was anyone thinking?
Not all of his actresses when they're singing. It's because he did that to poor Jennifer Hudson and he did that to Anne Hathaway.
Like, also, I can't 100% say this is true. I don't think that cats do that.
I've seen a cat with a runny nose, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
It was so sad. I had a foster who had like a very runny nose, and she was a long hair, and she would wipe her nose on her fluffy tail so it would have all of these sad, like congealed, hardened snot strands on it.
But she was so proud of herself, though, like that she didn't want anyone to see it, so she wiped it on her tail.
Oh,
so
my
tragic.
God.
We've got so much that needs to be cut from this episode.
Yeah.
Like, so much of me just getting upset.
You're funny when you get upset, but with a lot of things, it's like painful about, oh no, what do we take out? And it has to come to an hour and change.
Is it about the part where we talked about our cats? Or is it about...
Okay. Could we possibly watch Liz and Dick at your place just because it's going to be such suffering?
Yes. Oh, we definitely can.
We can watch Liz and Dick and then record.
That sounds perfect.
Yay!
It's a bad one.
I know. All right.
Or they made 11 films together. Not 40, as we will be told at the end of this movie by Liz, because they weren't making pornos.
Yes, I have something to say about this. I think this was just bad dialogue, because what she meant to say was that they had made 40 movies between them, not 40 movies together. It may be that Lohan garbled it, and because they were filming this in 20 days, they went with whatever sounded best and assumed that the audience wouldn't be smart enough to notice or wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I will give them that.
That's fair. I took it as they made 40 movies together, not 40 movies altogether. But nevertheless, I hate their world. I hate being back there so quickly. I know that we're supposed to find this chaos romantic, but it's really not. Rena, any opening thoughts you want to share?
I'm wondering, do you know what the budget was for Liz and Dick?
I don't know what the budget was, but I did find that they spent more on publicity than they did on the actual film. The wardrobe budget was $155,000.
Is that less than the wardrobe budget for Cleopatra?
Probably, just given that they spent $44 million on it. I'm sure that that it was less than that. But it's also just like philosophically, like why make this movie for a lifetime? Why do it? Why anything? And this was a real puzzle for me.
David Eigenberg, one TV writer, noted that he has aged like a 5'9" king.
And he checks some of my boxes. I love him. I wonder, here's why.
Reasons.
Yeah. She's kind of a bummer to watch in this because she's got like this, you did nothing.
She is wearing lavender-tinged blue contact lenses, though.
Yep, like the ones you could get when I was in high school.
This clocks in at an hour and a half, like they just wanted to get it over with, although I couldn't have dealt with it being longer, or it would have been hard to deal with it being longer. I'm sure we would have muddled through. It's not that hard to sit around and watch a bad movie. You can always, do dishes or work on using up that week's CSA delivery. What was I thinking?
I don't get it with Lifetime movies. I know a lot of people enjoy watching them and making fun of them. I find I loved like the golden age of it, that like late 90s, early aughts, like crazy lady gets her baby stolen era of Lifetime movies, but now they all feel like self-consciously self-aware, and they all like look like they're made in the same porno house in Vancouver, and they all have 5 people in them and no extras, and just like nothing happens until the last 20 minutes. I personally feel like the movies have declined in quality, and I understand what I'm saying when I say that, because I too am self-aware. However, like these movies are all out there, and this one too, like it stars people who I'm like, I guess you must be someone who I don't recognize from like the Joss Whedoniverse, or like shows on USA Network, or Sliders, or Babylon 5, Baywatch Nights, or stuff like that I don't know about, because fame has reached this point of being so fractal that you can go through life without knowing that someone is famous. Celebrity has gotten to a place where it's just so fractured, and all of our culture is coming from different places. So Grant Bowler, I was like, you must be on Burn Notice or Suits. But he is on none of those things. And then everyone else I figured in the cast list was also on Suits. Kate
Beckinsale ruined the second half of The Aviator, and I'm not crazy about her, but
she's not making this movie.
No.
It probably wouldn't be the first or the last time someone who has been a high up on the cast list female in a Martin Scorsese movie who has then been in a Lifetime movie, be it like your Kathy Moriarty's, your Juliette Lewis's, your Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio's. Like it wouldn't be the first time that's happened, because everybody's got to eat. But yeah, Kate Beckinsale responded with yeah, we're not making Lifetime movies. I've got all of that underworld money. And so apparently according to lore, came down to Megan Fox and Lindsay Lohan, and that's who they chose. So yeah, that's the story of the casting.
The actor that they found to play Richard Burton's brother looked a lot like Jeffrey Jones.
Yes. Was he in prison or dead at this point? One of the two?
One of the two.
Alas. Really funny actor. Not so funny personal life.
No, Jeffrey Jones, the quite justly ignominious. I don't know if he's dead. His character they killed off in the Beetlejuice sequel.
But... Oh no, he's still alive.
What? Is he still in prison at least?
He's still alive. I'm looking. I don't think he's still in prison, but he has had subsequent arrests for failing to update his sex offender status when he's been working places.
Where is he working?
He was in the movie Deadwood in 2019.
What? Oh, just kill off the character. You know, it must be because the Deadwood creator has Alzheimer's, right? Couldn't someone have... That was like elder abuse to not say, no, you can't cast Jeffrey Jones in this Deadwood movie. Or maybe they should have done greater elder abuse and just let David, David
Milch?
Yes, they should
David
have committed.
Milch.
They should have committed greater elder abuse and just told David Milch that Jeffrey Jones was dead.
The thing with David Milch too, though, is like he's going to be one of those people who's going to be like, this is art and I cannot go on without this sex pest in my movie. He is sequentially essential to this work, as if everyone on that show didn't look exactly the same.
Anyway, this actor looked like Jeffrey Jones, but I knew there was no way that it could be Jeffrey Jones.
No, and there's no way it could be Jeffrey Jones. I think you could probably assume that somewhere in this world, Cleopatra from 1963 is still filming, because like I don't think they ever finished making that movie, and there's someplace in the time-space continuum where it is still being made. They don't explain like, oh, they had to go back for reshoots or what have you. So I recognized right away. I was like, oh, there's someone I know. And it was like, maybe I need to be trolling the guest starring rosters from like 1990s evening soap operas in order to remember the people in these movies. And it's played like cutesy. And then they're back in the black box talking about their relationship. And of the acting in this movie, this is the most human behavior we get. It's not good. I want to be clear. It's not good, but it's at least interesting to watch them interact with each other and be real people about some aspects of their relationship.
I know this Liz and Dick was an early episode of How Did This Get Made, but I did not go back and listen to that because I do not read reviews or listen to other people's podcasts about movies that we're featuring, just because I want to think for myself about it. How did this black box happen? Because I know I've said this before, but it is as of mid-October of 2024, when we are recording this, the black box is my least favorite framing device. And, well, my favorite framing device is the Time Travel Christmas Carol, but used judiciously. It can be used badly very easily. I just loved that so much in St. Joan.
You must have loved Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
I loved it. I saw it in theaters when it first came out. It was like the highlight of my year. I've never gotten tired of it anytime it happened to be on.
Because, I was thinking about you and that movie in particular after we talked about St. Joan, because I was like, Rita must have loved Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, because that is Napoleon on a water slide. Who's not delighted by that?
Yes, because as I said, one of my favorite things is people from the past reacting to hearing about this, and I can happily watch a 2-hour cut of someone from the past reacting to hearing things, oh, here's what happened in 1995, and here's what happened in 2002. Yeah, I did love Bill and Ted a lot. I will say that Grant Bowler has a really terrible single process dye job.
Like, just a
where
word,
where it's like where you see like the line of hair and it's way too firm from having been done very recently, and it's all like pooled in the scalp, and it's all absolutely one shade that is a little too bright and unvaried.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where she's like, I've already taken care of it for you. That's like really half-hearted. If you actually want to kill yourself, you wait for a point when no one's going to find you. Don't listen to what I said. Call the hotline. But she
in
was
this.
so good in Mean Girls.
She was. You know who was better, though, should have been Academy Award nominee Rachel McAdams.
Oh, and Lizzie Kaplan was in that movie, too.
Yeah, and Lizzie Kaplan's amazing in that movie.
Lizzie Kaplan's amazing in everything.
I think of Mean Girls as a Field of Dreams situation where Lindsay Lohan's great in it, but it's everyone around her that is brilliant. And she's replaceable at the center of that. That movie is not great because of her performance. That movie is great because the writing is really good, because Amanda Seyfried is incredible, because Rachel McAdams is like next level bonkers in that movie, because Amy Poehler is amazing. You know, Lizzie Kaplan, like all of these other people around her are peak brilliance. And she's able to like function at the core of it, but she is lifted up by the people and the material around her, which is a thing that happens with there's a lot of actors who are only as good as the material and the people around them, and they can't do it alone. And this is proof of that. Like, edgelord take here. I don't think that this is such a great couple. I don't think that they're so in love. I don't think that this is romance. And that's my hot take on this. Like, based on what we know about their relationship and how it was back and forth and how it was like sexy letters and being drunk and fighting and then making up and buying jewelry and buying other shit that nobody needs and living on a boat, and just like that was kind of like the cycle of their relationship. Hamlet. So I happen to know a thing or two about Hamlet because I am basic theater bitch, and also because I produced probably the most pretentious version of Hamlet that's ever been done in the history of ever when I was in school. It looked exactly like this. The director who we brought in to do it only cut, I think, 10 lines of dialogue from it. So it was the full 4-hour long Hamlet. So there's that. He says the rest is silence, which is what Hamlet says just before he dies. So he wouldn't be standing there just chatting with a bunch of people. And then the curtain drops, because there's 2 more pages of that play that are actually important to the story. Like, people cut all sorts of different places when they're doing Hamlet because it is so GD long and because there's so much of it. You know, you can slice and dice that baby down to like 2 hours if you want to, and still have it all kind of work very nicely. But the last 2 pages, when they wrap things up after Hamlet dies, are actually important. So I was sort of like, you probably should have kept at least some of that. But yeah, they just drop the curtain as he's like kind of standing there, and then just like, and
Yeah,
everyone's wearing black turtlenecks. I mean, I guess you could, but there's stuff that comes after it that is important. And it's not like Homeboy was poisoned. He's stabbed, so he's bleeding out at the end. And also, pretty much everyone else is dead, too. And there's an awful lot of people standing around at the end there before the curtain drops.
Horatio is still alive, and like one other guy, and it does seem like he's talking to 2 other people.
I just want to comment also, because this is not a visual medium. You looked so horrified when I started talking about that production of Hamlet, and I don't blame you. Because it was horrifying. I look back and I say, why? I just had to be a dick about that for a second. And why make this? Besides money, I'm sure these people call their mothers more often than I call mine. I'm sure they're good people, but like it all just like looks like crap, and it all looks cheap. and it's all for what?
Do you know anything about this? I know it's something we will get to.
That sounds like something that Lindsay Lohan would refuse to wear. It sounds very likely that she would refuse to wear a fat suit. Like, that sounds about right for this era of Lindsay Lohan. I would also speculate too, if they got Megan Fox in this, she would have been like, no thank you on the fat suit as well. Because it's almost like a what's the point?
Right, but there's like, yeah, because Taylor actually did age pretty quickly in the 60s. Like,
She did, that woman had city miles on her. She almost died many times. She had meningitis. The number of crazy things that she fell ill with even just in the time of making Cleopatra is astonishing. She was very sickly. And very,
yeah,
very much almost gonna die many times.
yeah, and
That, like, there was a lot of running interference to make sure that one of them didn't outshine the other. So they were children on the set of that film.
mm-hmm.
So them sitting in the theater and loudly fighting about who's better in the movie in front of a crowd of people, it seems like something that it could have happened.
Also,
Time
we love them so much.
Yeah, so it's delightful that he won for a dual performance and for a comedy performance. I mean, I wouldn't be terribly surprised too if we were still kind of like a little iffy on giving the prizes to British actors. Happy to nominate them, but I'm just looking at the other people on who, wow, that is a bad scene, dude.
Oh my gosh, did that Othello get a makeup nomination?
Probably.
Find out.
I mean, Gandhi won. Let's see here. Highlights. Did they have makeup nominations? Oh, wow, this is interesting. That's costume design. Oh God, that is a nightmare. Glad to see he didn't win for that. That's embarrassing.
Yes. Oh,
um,
the wisdom of our ancestors. Shortest book ever written.
um, yikes. I mean, I've seen movies based on Jean le Carré books. Yeah, yeah, and Lindsay Lohan is a beautiful woman. I keep wanting to call her a girl because she's permanently a teenager in my head, and that's completely unfair and not where she is in her life right now. And there was an era where it felt like people were trying to change that beauty or tell her what she wasn't right. And she seemed to start, I'm speculating wildly here, experimenting with like fillers and Botox and things when she was still like very much a child and very much at an age where you shouldn't be doing that. She kind of like took on this sort of everyone looks 38 years old thing that all of the Real Housewives have, where like everyone just looks worked on, where you
Mm-hmm.
could be 65, you could be 27, you could be anywhere in between. You just look worked on. And this was in that era of her. And it's a huge bummer.
Yeah, I remember thinking, like, why would you dye red hair blonde? You already have the most unusual hair color.
I mean, probably because your scumbag ex-boyfriend is calling you fire crotch on TMZ.
Ew.
Yeah. Ew. God, what a cultural wasteland the aughts were.
Well, I don't know. There Will Be Blood came out in the aughts.
That's true. We did have some really good movies there towards the end, but also so much reality television, so much Paris Hilton, so much trash.
Mad Men started in the aughts. We had peak TV in the aughts.
Okay, yes, that's fair. Like, there is good and bad. But certainly, like, the early aughts were a brutal wasteland of us just being like, what matters? Nothing. Paris Hilton matters. We were at war. We were in mourning. We were pretending that Rudolph Giuliani could be the president. Like, it was a bad time. And we were pretending that beautiful red hair was somehow offensive as compared to being blonde. And that's a huge bummer. Profound in a way that, reflecting back on the whole notion of like they were never even really alone that much, we don't see them having deep conversations or meaningful conversations about who they are and what they want to be. And, you know, it just seems like there's a lot of surface level fighting and chaos and living on boats and moving around to avoid having to pay taxes and buying jewelry and spazziness that feels like something exciting. But I think that she had more profound loves in her life that are not celebrated in the same way, and they should be. She removed taboos around AIDS. She raised a ton of money for AIDS patients and made it real to people and brought it to the fore. She's an interesting woman, and I feel like we look at her in some of this entertainment from a very uninteresting angle. There.
Gary Trudeau wrote one of his Doonesbury collections from that era was titled A Tad Overweight, but Violet Eyes to Die For.
God, they were so mean to her. I can't. God, we're shitty to women.
So, Liz and Dick, congratulations. You have earned a second opinion.
Yes. So, would you like me to do one more?
Yes, please.
A Lifetime Lifesaver of a Movie by J. Tripodis, written on the 26th of November, 2012. I have suffered from clinical depression for years and even contemplated suicide before. Last night,
No.
in the depths of my despair, I channel surfed my way, purely by accident, to Lifetime and saw all but the first few moments of Liz and Dick. You may have trouble believing this, but I have never laughed before like I did last night. It was the kind of soul-cleansing, near-suffocating laughter that simply will not let up until you have given yourself over to its power. Just as I would recover each time, some new scene would tickle me mercilessly inside and the whole process would start over again. I believe I even lost consciousness a couple of times. I woke up this morning to a brand new joyful day. I threw away my medications, called my shrink, and told him I didn't need to see him anymore. I told my parents not to worry about me anymore. I am now cured. Thank you, Lloyd Kramer and Christopher Monger. Thank you, Grant Bowler. But most of all, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Lindsay D. Lohan, the most special of God's bizarre creations. Simply put, Liz and Dick is the greatest comedy in history. I think this review is pulling my leg. I don't know.
I agree with you. I think this is insincere. I just found one. I just found a couple. So this is 9 out of 10 by JTGE. That's spelled GEE, which makes me wonder if he's related to Bessie Smith's husband. Entitled, Leave Lindsay Alone, followed by 4 exclamation points. If anyone is able to portray Elizabeth Taylor's wild sense of untamed demeanor, carelessness for negative publicity, and undying need for love, it's Lindsay Lohan. Let's be real, people. Lindsay has graced covers on so many magazines, and we love them because she is the 21st century bad girl, the way the media portrayed Taylor in the 60s. I'm watching this movie as I write this, and let's be real. She rocked the epitome of Taylor, not as the actress, but because she can relate. This is why her spirit is conveyed in essence of Taylor. If Chris Crocker did it for Britney, this is my rendition for Lohan. Who's Chris Crocker? Why do I care?
So Chris Crocker was a person who made a video during like the height of Britney Spears's trouble initially, back like when she shaved her head and all of that was going on, and he made a YouTube video that was an impassioned plea to leave Britney alone. There were tears. It was a little weird.
I know what you're
I
talking about now.
think
It's
it was
leave Britney alone.
Yeah, I think it was followed by like a meta level campaign of leave Chris Crocker alone. Yeah. Again, a lot of cultural wasteland in the aughts. Some of it okay. There's that scene in Labyrinth where they're walking through like that like dark mucky area and staying on the path. But seeing all of this like tragedy, like it's almost like that. Like that was the aughts.
Wow.
You
Okay.
know, you have like the Strokes, you have No Country for Old Men, and then you have a lot of crap.
Well, there's Coen Brothers. There's
Yes, they were
PTV.
actually, you know what? The Coen brothers were on fire in the aughts because A Serious Man came out and that was really good. No Country for Old Men. I personally liked Intolerable Cruelty. I know a lot of people didn't. Yeah, P.T. Anderson was on a tear. Zodiac was an astonishingly good movie that didn't get any Academy Awards. Kanye was really good in the aughts.
Oh yeah, this was
Oh,
before Kim. The aughts were before Kim, but the aughts were over when they made Liz and Dick, so they should have known better. I have one more, but there actually aren't that many pieces of far off descent. Wow, you know
yeah,
what? I couldn't care less about true crime. You know
I
that?
know. I know.
I find it incredibly boring. I don't care because it's always about nobody nothing people that nobody would care about if they hadn't been murdered, killed by other nobody nothing people who nobody would care about if they hadn't murdered somebody.
Well,
I'm not interested in watching a movie about someone unless you'd write a biography about them for what they did.
I I personally I find that one of the things I have a problem with in watching true crime is that it's always like a garbage person doing it and then they kill someone with so much potential to do good in the world and to be a decent person who cleans up after their dog or opens the door for people while they might be making a movie like Liz and Dick. Um, but is nevertheless a decent human being and some like piece of shit cuts them down in their life. And I like, you know what? I really enjoy seeing people get justice. I get like immense pleasure in seeing people like get justice.
Has there ever been a true crime about someone where it was a really wonderful person who murders a piece of shit?
That's a case that's being made about the Menendez brothers right now.
Yeah, I'm from Princeton. Like, one of my older brothers actually went to parties at the Menendez house.
Oh, how fun. It seems like everyone was awful, but the children were their children. But there's a documentary right now on Netflix where the prosecuting attorney on the case is talking about how she couldn't find one person to be a character witness for the victims.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't care about the Menendez brothers.
Yeah, no, and
For the reasons I described.
and that's okay. That's okay to not care about the Menendez brothers.
Like, it's okay to not be into stuff.
Yeah, it's okay to not like a thing.
Like, I read another historical fantasy novel last week called Babel that I won't recommend because while gripping it was extremely didactic. Okay. So with that, Sarah, you too, Sarah. Thank you.
And I will talk to you soon. Night.
Well, that was the 13th edition of Irrelevant Host Banter. If you like the show, please leave us a 5-star rating and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and tell a friend, or better yet, plural friends, and share us on social media. We hear it helps. You can follow us on Instagram, where we have visual aids from our episodes. Our Instagram handle is @Biopic a Podcast Story. We also have accounts on Threads and Blue Sky. Please check out our webpage at biopicapodcaststory.podbean.com to see the official episode ratings for all of the movies that we've done so far. If you would like to get in touch with us, you can email us at biopiclistenermailbag@gmail.com. Our theme music is by Ben Patch. The intro is his song Sleater Cannonball, and the outro is Spring Breakers, and you can check him out on Spotify. Have an excellent week or weekend, and we hope you'll listen in when our regular episodes drop on Tuesdays.